Good evening. I would like to call to order the Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting for October 2nd, 2024. If we could stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Patriarca.
Mrs. Lucci.
Present.
Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present. And moving into the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the September 18th, 2024 regular trustees meeting minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and into our elected officials reports, and starting us off is our fiscal officer, Mr. John Patriarca.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. As of September 30th, 2024, we are 75% of the way through the calendar year, which means we are approaching fall, unfortunately, for the summer lovers in the room.
Yep.
The treasury balance for the 21 active funds within the township treasury is $8.5 million. The treasury balance includes approximately $427,000 in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures are currently at 68% of the amount appropriated for 2024, while year-to-date revenue is 99% of the annual budget. These figures continue to keep Concord Township on track to stay within the 2024 budget. The fiscal officer also continues to work through our annual audit with the state of Ohio. Obviously, working through this with full transparency, we expect this process to wrap up in the next week or so. Finally, we'd just like to wish a happy early 60th birthday to our township administrator, Mr. Rose. And
thank you.
Absolutely. If any residents have specific questions regarding township finances, please do not hesitate to reach out to our office at 440-354-7516. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. And moving into the elected officials reports for the trustees, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm happy that it's October. I hope everyone else is. The year does feel like it is flying by, though. I would like to express my sympathies and condolences to those affected by the hurricane. The devastation is just so difficult to watch, so continued prayers to those people that are affected. I continue to answer questions about the levy. We see information on social media which needs clarification. It's not always correct, so I put a few thoughts down that I would like to acknowledge at this time. I want to begin by just saying that asking for additional funding is not something we take lightly. We know that many in our community are managing their own budgets carefully, and we have tried to do the same for our township. However, as our community continues to grow, our current funding does not support the increasing costs associated with providing the level of safety and protections that our residents deserve. Over the past few years, we have faced significant challenges due to rising costs in several key areas. The cost of labor, fire equipment, training, general operations have steadily increased, largely due to inflation, supply chain issues, and the like. In addition, some of our fire equipment is nearing the end of its useful life. We have not been able to replace aging fire trucks, which are critical for ensuring rapid response times and effective fire suppression. As these costs continue to climb, our current budget can no longer stretch far enough to cover them. We have done our best to manage these expenses within a transparent and diligent budgeting process, ensuring that every dollar is accounted for and maximized. Our commitment to maintaining a sound fiscal budget is unwavering, as we have explored numerous options to increase funds in areas such as the residential incentive district, other grants that we have obtained, the local government fund, as well as how we prioritize spending. Unfortunately, despite these efforts, we simply do not have the resources to meet the growing needs of both safety and fire safety and law enforcement. That is why we are asking for support. The proposed levy is designed specifically to address these critical safety needs. Every dollar from this levy will be dedicated to enhancing our public safety services, which includes upgrading equipment, maintaining adequate staffing levels, and providing ongoing training for our first responders. By doing so, we can ensure that our fire and law enforcement departments have the tools and resources necessary to protect our community. We take pride in our transparency and diligence in maintaining a balanced budget. But without additional funding, we will face significant shortfalls that could compromise the safety and well-being of our residents. We hope that with support, we can continue to provide the high level of safety and service that our community expects and deserves. So thank you for letting me acknowledge those considerations. Aside from that, we did have our staff meeting on Monday. I continue to get questions about some economic development. The Taco Bell, which is going in on Cryle Road. I know residents were extremely grateful for the free car washes and gelato sampling at Little Mountain Creamery and Johnny's, and we're excited for those openings. We continue to answer questions related to the Quail Hollow property, which has gotten a lot of interest. And Mr. Rose, happy birthday. I wasn't going to say how old you are, but since John already said that,
It's a milestone.
it is a big birthday.
Yeah, it's a big
And
one. Quite a
I'm not that
milestone.
far behind, so it's okay. It's okay.
We're chasing you down.
Yes, right.
But with that, I hope everyone has a great
yourself.
weekend.
Percentage-wise.
Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have mostly, I think we've been dealing with the fire levy. That's been, I did have ongoing conversation with a resident who's concerned about someone across the way conducting business out of a residential property. So Heather and I have been talking about that, been talking with legal about it as well. It's been going on for a while. Been putting quite a bit of time into economic development. I've had a couple meetings. We're working the Silver Load report again. Continue to be grateful that the JED had money in the budget to do this because it has stirred up interest and activity. Have another meeting, had a conference call last week about some folks. Best that I keep all of that under the wraps now until some of it starts to materialize or whatever. But some exciting things, and it makes me optimistic we'll see something happen with that in the near future. I did like Mrs. Lucci want to address the levy. We've had some conversations and some emails and social media, and there's a lot of information out there and opinions. I think, local government, running a township, a city, a village, whatever, local government funding is very tricky and it's very intricate. And honestly, if you don't spend a lot of time with it, I understand that people don't follow what we do. It's not easy to understand. It's taken years to learn it. But simple to say that construction of the fire station and operating safety and the fire budget in Concord are two different things. A bond levy is like a house mortgage. We can't refinance or take equity. It paid for the construction of it. This operations levy has nothing to do with building another fire station. It's just to run it. The fire operations budget hasn't seen an increase in going on 9 years. Yet we've seen 45 to 55% cost increase due to inflation, labor. Last meeting, Mr. Dondorfer very eloquently pointed out the hiring crisis and competitive wages. And we know that 3/4 of our budget goes to support staffing in the form of the contract with the sheriff's department and fire department personnel. We've done a lot of great things to help shore up the rest of the township budget. So if issue 2 passes, we can pick up and fulfill the promise we made in 2020 to build 2 fire stations, to finance one with taxpayer assistance, and then pay for the rest of it without asking the taxpayers to chip into that. If we get the wins that we've got this year, and Mr. Rose had the fortitude and really was paying attention and put us in for that grant, and if we're able to get that, we're going to be in really good shape. But if this levy doesn't pass, the grant goes away, we won't be able to use it, and we'll sit here with no new fire station 2, and we'll be making some really hard choices in 2025. So I want to thank people for continuing to ask questions and stir the conversation. These are important things and people need to know it, what's going on. I've had a chance to visit the Little Mountain Creamery a couple times, get through the car wash. Fantastic. Great to see new businesses come into Concord. I know we'll be excited for their ribbon cuttings and formal openings soon. And of course, I need to wish Mr. Rose a happy birthday. And
Thank you.
big milestone. We're very happy for you, and we'll celebrate later. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. Yeah, I had the opportunity to attend the Coffee with the Administrator last Thursday. Very well attended. There was a good group there. It seemed the hot topic, again, like you both had stated some comments on, was the fire levy. I did try to clarify a lot of questions. There seemed to be a lot of questions about, staffing at the sheriff's department and how the personnel equates to 24-hour service within the township. I did address a lot of the issues as far as wage increases, not only with the sheriff's department, which was looking at 18% over the next few years, but also with the fire department, and then the operational component with the fire department as far as, capital expenses and improvements for, engines and things of that nature. I had great dialogue. I asked a lot of great questions. And we continue to field those questions not only in emails, but I've gotten a lot of phone calls just like the both of you. And the way I left it at the coffee with the administrator is, listen, we're doing our job to come forward and present the facts. It's a very important decision that needs to be made, and the Board of Trustees can't make it. It's up to the community, and that's why we're putting it out there. We want to, you have to determine what level of service that you'd like, and we're here to present you with the facts of what type of service that we believe that this community needs. A growing community of almost 20,000 residents. It's a busy community, and it's important that we have the appropriate level of service in both fire and law enforcement to meet the needs of our residents. So I enjoyed it. Andy does a great job. We had some other dialogue regarding new businesses within the township. Seems like there's a lot of new energy with Quail Hollow. That's good. I'd like to see that eventually get taken care of. Other than that, I did have continuing to work through a zoning and noise issue with legal and our zoning inspector. Stopped by there on my way in this evening just to do an assessment. We'll work on that. And outside of that, happy birthday, Mr. Rose, and thank you for all that you do for the township.
Thank you.
Okay, and moving into departmental reports, we will start out with Mr. Rose, our administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer, members of the board, Mr. Patriarcha, members of the audience, good evening. I'll start with some items that are on the agenda. Item A is Resolution 2024 TAC 26. This resolution establishes meeting procedures and methods of notification for the remainder of the year. This is based on requirements that are outlined in the Ohio Revised Code 122.22F. Item B is Resolution 2024 TAC 27, which authorizes the preparation and submission of a OPWC application for the resurfacing of Cascade Road. Item C and D are purchase orders for heart monitors that go to Stryker, and Chief will be discussing those during his report. And then item G is a line item for an executive session at the tail end of the meeting in order to discuss some pending litigation that we have going on with the law director. As far as other items, tomorrow is a candidates and issues forum event that is put on by the League of Women Voters here in Lake County. Concord Township is hosting the event at the community center. So we invite everyone to come and listen to the candidates and learn more about the issues that are affecting you in Lake County. The event begins at 6 p.m. It's usually very well attended. It's usually standing room only. And I would like to especially thank the League of Women Voters for putting this important event on, and also our rec staff who accommodates them at the community center and make sure that we have a good event. You trustees, based on a letter you received today from the zoning director, I am recommending you set a public hearing for the 3 proposed zoning text amendments. My recommendation would be to hold the public hearing prior to our next meeting on October 16th, and I recommend we start at 7:15 p.m.
Okay. We all good for the zoning text amendment public hearing for 10/16/24 at 7:15 p.m. before the trustee meeting? Said that.
That's fine.
That's fine for me, thanks.
Okay, we'll get the appropriate notices out. Thank you. Like you, I get questions regarding property taxes related to the reevaluation. I get those questions, and I get questions about the fire levy. I'll just take this opportunity regarding taxes to remind everyone that the Understanding Your Taxes class, that full video is posted on our website under the Concord Facts tab, and it can also easily be found on the Concord Township's YouTube page. So I encourage folks that have tax questions to take a look at that, and please feel free to call me if you have any other questions. And then finally, the next coffee with the administrator is Thursday, October 24th, and that'll be at 9 a.m. And finally, thank you for all the birthday wishes, and I am ready for another lap around the sun. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Rose. Okay, moving on, Fire Department, Chief Sabo.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't
I
it?
like the sound of that.
I know.
For the month of September, we responded to a total of 261 events. We had 184 EMS calls with 144 transports to local hospitals. We also had 77 non-EMS events, including 3 fires inside of Concord. We had 2 vehicle fires, including 1 car and 1 semi-truck. We also had 1 brush fire. We gave mutual aid 15 times, received mutual aid 8 times, and we had 117 overlapping calls for about 44.8% of our call volume. Fire Prevention Bureau was busy once again. 33 inspections, 5 plan reviews, and they did 3 state inspections. So some of our occupancies are under the auspices of the state fire marshal for inspection, and our inspectors help them out, especially now they're in a transition phase with their staffing. So we're happy to help the state fire marshal get their inspections completed. They also completed 44 hours of continuing education. Once again, we were out and about doing public safety education. On September 8th, the Girl Scout troop came for tours of Station 1. On September 13th, we provided paramedic coverage for the Riverside football game. On September 15th, we stopped by and visited a retired volunteer firefighter from Concord Township, Ed Hayes. He was celebrating his 90th birthday, so we stopped over and wished him well for his birthday and thanked him for his service to Concord Township and especially Concord Fire Department. On September 28th, we participated with University Hospitals at Tri-Point for their Family Health and Safety Day. We sent our Station 1 engine squads and crew while they were available to respond from that event. We also installed 4 Knox boxes and had 2 returned to us. On the agenda this evening, we have item C is a PO request. This is for 1 heart monitor. We applied to the Gary Sinise Foundation, which is a strong supporter of public safety and first responders. So we reached out to them and applied for 1 heart monitor to replace one of the ones that is in dire need of replacement, and they awarded us full pull. There is no Concord Township contribution to that award, so they're paying 100% of that 1 heart monitor. And we are very grateful to the Gary Sinise Foundation and hope that this is a relationship that we'll see going forward for many years. Additionally, item D is a FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award for 2 heart monitors. One thing I do want to point out that this is from the 2023 grant cycle. So this is one that's been applied for some time, that we just got notification of. And it's also important to note that our share of those 2 heart monitors, because there is a cost share with AFG, our cost share is $3,536.18 on a $40,000 per unit cost. So I think we did pretty well for 3 heart monitors with a buy-in of just over $3,500.
Hey, Chief.
Yes.
So, not to just beat a point, but we're talking about the levy and questions, and I'm just doing quick math here, and this is one of the things you and I talked about last year when the levy failed. But I want to point out that heart rate monitors, and we talked about the cost of them, we're getting the value of these POs is $121,000.
Yes.
And so when people want to know where fire operations money goes,
Right.
And what did you pay? You told me it was substantially less cost. I mean, those are going. How old are they now?
The ones we have now,
Yeah.
we bought those in 2010,
So they're 14 years old.
14 years old.
And then what's the cost increase in 14 years?
I don't want to speculate.
It was a lot,
but
wasn't it?
it's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, the monitors that we're purchasing are not the latest and greatest. The latest and greatest are closer to $70,000. So,
A piece.
but these a piece. Yeah. Yeah. So, I do want to emphasize, and thank the Concord Township in general, but Concord Fire specifically, we are aggressive when it comes to applying for alternative funding. The more that we do, the less we have to come to the residents for, and that we have been aggressive for many years, back to Dick Terriaco when he was chief, Mike Warner, and now myself. That is something that we pursue diligently. I will note that this is our 3rd attempt at requesting heart monitors through FEMA. So it takes time, it takes diligence, but we don't get discouraged. We keep applying and keep applying. We change things up to see if something new will work. We don't give up. So, and that's the fruit of our labor there. And the amount of work and labor that Karen Pierce, our administrative assistant, puts into these, Mike Bedell, Brian Fleming, and in this case, Bob Ivancic, our EMS coordinator for the department. So it's a lot of work that goes into these, but it pays off eventually. We do still have one grant request out to FEMA that we're waiting to hear back from. This is a regional grant that we did with Painesville City Fire Department and Leroy Fire Department to replace some of our portable radios. So we're still waiting to hear on that. It's getting towards the end of that grant cycle, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're not excluded yet, but time will tell. The last thing I want to touch on is coming up in the month of October, the fire department and sheriff's office will be out. We have 4 speaking engagements about the levy. On this Monday, October 7th, we'll be at Hope Ridge at 6 p.m. On October 17th, we'll be at St. Gabriel Church at 6 p.m. On October 23rd, we'll be at Concord Alliance Church at 6 p.m. And then October 26th, we'll be at Station 1 at noon, which is right after Fall Fest, which I'm sure Sean's going to talk about. Additionally to that, last night we were at the Menor Library hosted League of Women Voters for their Candidates and Issues Forum. We were present at that, and we will be presenting tomorrow evening at the Concord Community Center for that candidate forum. And other than that, the firefighters are going to be in your neighborhoods starting this weekend, knocking on doors, answering questions, giving you a chance to meet them, giving them a chance to meet y'all, and answer any questions that our residents might have surrounding the fire operations levy. So if anyone has any questions about the levy or fire operations, they can contact my office at 440-354-7504. And with that, I'm done.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to our service department, Tim Brown, our service director.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
The service department in the month of September continued to make road repairs and improvements throughout the township. Our concrete slab replacement program has poured over 850 yards of concrete to date. Our DuraPatch repairs continue throughout the township. on our asphalt roads. Additional tasks performed are pothole patching, ditch maintenance, and easement maintenance. In the coming weeks, the service department will begin preparing equipment for winter operations, installing salt spreaders and plows, along with winterizing equipment not used throughout the winter season. In addition, a few personnel from the service department attended a winter operators training session put on by the Northern Ohio Service Directors Association. The 2024 road resurfacing projects are coming to a close. Winch will receive a chip and seal with fog coat surface course tomorrow on 10/3. The painting of township parking lots will be completed within the month of October. Concord Township, with the assistance of the Lake County Stormwater Department, made drainage improvements to 2 drainage easements within the township, Grand Ridge Point Drive and Tewksbury Lane. Both easements received drainage improvements and maintenance. These projects were funded using Concord Township stormwater funds. The yard waste drop-off is open at the service department Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This coming Saturday, 10/5, is the first of 2 brush collection days. The brush drop-off opens at 7:30 a.m. and will close at 2:30 p.m. Residents can drop off brush up to 4 inches in diameter. No lumber, landscape ties, railroad ties, or stumps are permitted. October 19th is the second brush day collection and will operate at the same times. The yard waste drop-off will also be available to residents during these dates. The service department continues to offer the mailbox snow barricades to residents for a fee of $50. Residents can find the application on Concord website under forms and applications or pick one up at the town hall. We encourage residents to contact the service department with any questions or concerns at 440-350-3225 or by email at concordtwp.com under service department. And the service department wishes Administrator Rose a happy 60th birthday.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thanks, Mr. Brown. Zoning Department, Heather Freeman, our zoning director.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
So during the month of September, the zoning department staff processed 36 zoning permit applications and collected $4,000 in fees. Staff was also busy performing field inspections and completed 124 property inspections with open zoning permits and issued 40 certificate of zoning compliances for projects that were completed. Staff also began 10 new investigations about potential zoning violations. Next week, the Board of Zoning Appeals will have their regular meeting on Wednesday. There's one application request for a conditional use permit to operate an adult daycare center that's being proposed within an existing building on Auburn Road. And lastly, I would just encourage any residents or business owners to reach out to the zoning office prior to start any work on their properties to see if any zoning approvals are required for what they're proposing to do. We can be reached at 440-354-7506 or 354-7505. Additionally, the Concord Township website has a lot of information about what projects might need approval before. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Moving on to recreation, Sean Supler, our recreation director.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
September was relatively quiet for the recreation department, so there's not much to really recap. It was thankfully quiet because it was a very busy summer months for us. So our 55 plus groups today, which actually all of our events are Wednesdays at 1 o'clock at the community center unless otherwise noted. Today we held Aging in Place, which was a presentation on guiding yourself to making modifications to your house to reduce risk of falls and all that, so you can stay in your home as you age. October 9th, we have Beam Funeral Home coming, and they are going to presentation how to plan and fund your funeral ahead of time. Obviously not something you want to think about, but certainly something you have to plan for. October 16th is Legacy Projects, which aims to find creative ways to share your life story. October 23rd, we have Last of the Romanovs by Susan Canavino, which is always popular. October 30th is Halloween Bingo. Our foot clinics with Dr. Saxon have become insanely popular. Our last one that we just had 14 people signed up for it, so they're really taking off. We have a few spots left for our one on October 28th, and he does basic routine foot care for our patients. Some of our youth classes coming up. We have dance and ballet classes on Thursday evenings. We have our always popular rookie sports, basketball. We have a fall session that we're doing this year. That will be from October 18th to November 15th. We're doing from 5:30 to 6:15 is 3 to 4-year-olds, then 6:30 to 7:15 is 5 to 6-year-olds, and that will actually take place at Pilgrim Lutheran Church, which is on the border of Concord and Mentor. Adult programming, we have gentle yoga on Tuesdays with Melissa Hopper. We have yoga Pilates fusion on Wednesday evenings with Colleen Stone. Gentle yoga on Monday nights with Colleen Stone. We have a Let's Cook with LaDonna Altman on Thursday, October 23rd. I'm not going to try and pronounce this thing because I'm going to butcher it. So it's a dish with coconuts, chickpeas, and greens. We'll leave it at that. We're doing a canvas painting class with Ariel Inspired Art Studio on October 15th. It's pumpkin themed, no experience necessary for those art classes. So if you're interested in that, please sign up. Some of our special events tomorrow, as people have mentioned, is the Candidates Forum with League of Women Voters starting at 6 o'clock at the Community Center. Next week is our fall indoor garage sale. That's featuring over 20 vendors. Admission is free, held at the community center as well. That's Friday, October 11th from 11 to 3 and Saturday the 12th from 9 to 1. Saturday, October 19th, hopefully an event that will grow from last year, is our drive-in movie at Lamuth Elementary School. We're showing Despicable Me 4. The movie itself will start around 7 or 7:15, depending on the sunset. Lots open at 6 o'clock. We have Delish Mobile Kitchen. We have people giving out popcorn and candy. Amsco, which is one of the Lamuth PTO boards, is selling merchandise. And we have a new food truck, Vivander Cookie Mobile. They make fresh chocolate chip cookies on site, so they are a new vendor that we're doing. The event is free. We wanted to say thank you to AJ Zappatelli and Zappy's Auto Wash for sponsoring the entire event, and Scafco, who's a local Concord business who will build a stage for us to put the movie screen on. So thank you to those two businesses here in Concord for supporting us.
That's awesome.
On Friday, October 25th, we have our adaptive Halloween dance held at the community center. That's for our special needs population. We have DJ, dancing, costumes, food, all that kind of stuff. That is at 6 o'clock. Then our big event for October, as Chief had mentioned, is Saturday, October 26th. That's our Fall Fest, and that will be held at the new fire station from 10 to 11:30. Come enjoy games, food. We'll have a nice picture area for you to take pictures with your family. Bunch of treats for the kids. I've actually partnered with Ransom Sage Farm just down the street in Chardon, and we're going to get a whole bunch of pumpkins delivered that all the kids will be able to take home a pumpkin with them this year. We're going to do a not so scary haunted tower that Chief and I are working on. Then we have face painter and balloon twisters. We also want to point out, and for everyone to remember, that we're working with Sub-Zero Mission with their Stuff the Bus. So please bring any new or lightly used winter clothing items so we can pack their bus full of supplies so that no one in Lake County freezes during the winter months. Old Stone School has a couple events in October. Columbus Day tours from 12 to 2. And then Dan is doing Ghost Stories, which will actually be held at the Community Center on October 28th from 7:15 to 8:15. Please continue to sign up for the e-grapevine and visit the website concordtwt.com for all of our recreation department offerings and to sign up for any programs. And please feel free to contact us at 440-639-4650, and we will be happy to assist you. And happy birthday to Mr. Rose. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Okay, and we have Captain Patterson here this evening with the Lake County Sheriff's Office report. Good evening, Captain.
Afternoon. I know we owe you some numbers from August, so we'll cover those before commencing with September's statistics. Month of August, we handled 1,040 calls for service. Under traffic, we had 3 injury accidents, 19 property damage accidents, issued 14 citations and 145 written warnings on traffic stops. We had a total of 6 arrests. We arrested a female for domestic violence from a residence on Mount Royal. We arrested a female related to an OVI, and that was on Hermitage Road. A male that violated a temporary protection order on Friedel Drive. He also faced criminal damaging charges as a result of that matter, and an assault case, an assault charge. We had 3 warrant arrests in August. I want to update, we had a breaking in, entering into vehicles on Martinique Drive. The deputies conducted a lot of thorough follow-up investigation. An unlocked vehicle in particular had purse gone through where credit cards were stolen and then used out of county at a Walmart in South Euclid. This suspect in this case was an out of county resident from Cleveland. They developed probable cause warrant, and they had that issued shortly thereafter the break-in. And 2 weeks ago, they arrested him, and he's facing multiple felony charges, which include breaking and entering, felony theft regarding the credit cards, felony telecommunications fraud, and a couple misdemeanors for criminal trespass and the misuse of the credit cards. We also had a burglary reported in August in a nearby location to the town hall here. This was a home that was on the market, so it was vacant with limited interior furnishings. But there was what appeared to be forced entry or damage at least to a door. Deputies did what they could on the case, but currently it's filed to be reopened when new leads develop. Moving into September, we had 872 calls for service. In terms of traffic, it was a very comparable month to August. 8 injury accidents, 19 property damage accidents, and I just want to note we are seeing an increase in deer versus car accidents, and I guess 'tis the season. Last quarter of the year here, we'll probably have those types of crashes on the rise. We issued 14 citations and 156 written warnings. Quite a few arrests here. I'll go through quickly. We had 2 separate aggravated menacing arrests from 2 separate cases, one being a residence on Mount Royal, one being a residence on Ravenna Road. We had an OVI accident-related arrest from State Route 608. A female was arrested for that. A male was arrested. We had several drug arrests and weapons-related arrests. A male was arrested on State Route 44 for having weapons under disability, a felony of the 3rd degree, improper handling and transport of a firearm in a vehicle, which is a felony of the 4th degree, and concealing a firearm. We had another male arrested for weapons under disability, fugitive from justice. We had felony warrants on him. He also was in possession of drug abuse instruments and drug paraphernalia as well, and that was on I-90 near State Route 44. A male was arrested for possessing drug abuse instruments in the way of syringes and crack pipes as well. Also had a male arrested for disorderly conduct over on Wood Duck, and a female was arrested for drug charges as a result of a traffic stop on State Route 44, possessing a felony amount of crack cocaine and possession of heroin, also a felony, with syringes and paraphernalia as well. We also had, in addition to that, 3 warrant arrests. One of those warrants was a post on our website for Most Wanted. That occurred over on Auburn Road. Some of the other stats for the month of September: 17 business checks, 19 community policings, 46 suspicious matters, 9 domestic violence cases, 7 thefts, 6 scams, 16 disturbances, 4 neighbor disputes, and 4 threats, menacing complaints. I'd like to note we had covered a lot of training in the past 2 months. Our deputies specific deputies covered intoxilizer training, the instrument used to measure BAC for OVIs. Instructors for our defensive tactics received additional training. We held the active shooter intervention training over at the Parkside Elementary School in August, and that was a great turnout between our patrol and courts divisions for some very important training, obviously. As a side note to the schools and school safety officers, we did have some change coming into the new school year. A long time law enforcement professional from the area, Chris Collins, who was a deputy with us working over at one of the elementary schools of the district for Riverside, had moved on to retire and take on new ambitions. So we wish him well. He did a great job with us, but as a result of that, we do have a new SSO where Mike Bruning was the SSO at Lamouth. We have Raymond O'Brien, who is a former Mentor police officer, retired, and he's doing a phenomenal job already at Lamouth. Mr. Deputy Bruning moved over to the Buckeye Elementary School. Want to commence that we also had the canines training through these past 2 months, and we held the 40-hour SWAT annual training at our facility this year. It's normally held, for years we held it out in Portage County. It's nice now we're able to facilitate that a lot more local, getting utilization out of the new Public Safety Training Center. Yeah, and I believe that's all I have.
Busy.
Very busy. Very busy.
Thanks for what you do.
Happy birthday, young man.
Thank you.
1,900, over 1,900 calls in 2 months, averaging 950, and I lost track, but I'm thinking around 16 arrests. Based on, it took me through September, so listing them all, but
Yeah, and several injury accidents.
Felonies?
Yeah, and like big charges.
yeah,
Yeah.
significant things.
Right.
Another, where does the money go
And-
conversation.
And all the training, like that's, you gotta think about that too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Captain. Okay, moving on to the audience portion. We don't have anybody here this evening with us. Old business, we have none, so we will get into the new business of the evening with a few votes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve Resolution 2024-26, establishing meeting procedures and methods of notification for the remainder of 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2024-27, a resolution authorizing the preparation and submission of an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission to provide infrastructure improvement funds necessary for Concord Township's Cascade Road Resurfacing Project Phase 1.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to approve Fire Department's purchase order to Stryker in the amount of $46,829.97 for the purchase of one heart monitor from a grant awarded by Gary Sinise Foundation.
And I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Fire Department PO to Stryker in the amount of $74,278.56 for the purchase of two heart monitors from a grant awarded by FEMA AFG, Concord share being $3,536.18.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then the items voted on at the September 30th, 2024 staff meeting, we had a couple items that we voted on. Those were the final development plan for the villas at Canterwood Farms, Phase 4 Residential Conservation Development. Mr. McIntosh moved to approve the final development plan for the villas at Canterwood Farms, Phase 4 Residential Conservation Development, Mrs. Lucci seconded, vote 2 ayes. And then, there was the final development plan for the villas at Canterwood Farms Phase 5 Residential Conservation Development. Mr. McIntosh moved to approve the final development plan for the villas at Canterwood Farms Phase 5 Residential Conservation Development. Mrs. Lucci second, vote 2 ayes. And moving on to future meetings and announcements, Mr. Patriarcho.
October 9th at 7 p.m., there will be a BZA meeting at Town Hall. On October 14th, Town Hall will be closed in observance of Columbus Day. On October 16th, busy day at Town Hall at 6:30. We'll have trustee office hours. At 7:15, as discussed earlier, there will be a public hearing for zoning text amendments. That'll be at 7:15 in Town Hall. And at 7:30 p.m., we will have the trustee meeting at Town Hall.
Thank you, John. And now I will entertain a motion to enter executive session to discuss pending litigation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G3, and to have Ms. Matheny and Mr. Patriarca and Mr. Rose join the executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move to enter into, or is that, are we seconding, or did you make the motion?
I'll
Just
entertain
say
a
it.
motion.
He made the.
So
he
moved.
said it. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Yes.
Mrs. Lucci.
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes our meeting this evening. Good evening, Concord Township.